Hey guys, today I wanted to go through tab reading, tab notation for guitar, which is how most people learn to read their music on guitar. It's a really simple system. It's been around for hundreds of years. It actually predates music notation, and it works on a very simple system, although it can be a little bit confusing in the beginning for one or two reasons, which we'll talk about. If we start at the top with this fattest string, on any guitar, this is the fattest string, and it's called string 6, and the note name is E. So that's an E. Then we move down to A, string 5, D, string 4, G, string 3, B, string 2, and E again, string 1. So a simple mnemonic you can use to remember that is elephants and donkeys grow big ears. With the elephant here at the top, the thick string is the elephant, and the thinnest string is the ears, because they're both the note of E. Now the way tablature works is we have 6 lines, a line for each string. What's tricky about it in the beginning is that they're inverted. So the line at the bottom of the 6 is the line that corresponds to the elephant, the E note. And the line at the top of the 6 corresponds to the high E string at the top. So it's flipped around. So elephants and donkeys grow big ears. The idea behind this is that as we are lower on the page, we're lower in pitch. So as we're lower on the page, the lowest line on the page represents the lowest sound on the guitar, which is similar to how music notation works. So that's an important thing to remember. It's not a mirror image of the strings, it's flipped around. So if we just go through those 6 lines, we can see at the lowest line we have E, then A, then D for donkeys, G, the third string, third line from the top for grows, B for big, and then the string closest to the floor, the high E, the ears, corresponds with the highest line in the tablature. So now let's start to use these lines. The way notes are written in the tablature is they're written as numbers. A 0 means an open string. So if we could just start with playing zeros on the 6th string, on the low E string. Why don't we try 0, 0, 0, rest, 0, 0, 0, rest, 0, 0, 0, rest, 0, 0, 0, rest. So that would be the simplest thing we could really write. So the key to understanding it and really getting a nice grasp is going one step at a time. So in other words, we're just working one string, open string. That's the bottom step. We're doing one string and we're playing with zeros only. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. We could do different rhythms. Now that's the simplest thing we could read in tablature in terms of notes. Let's add just one step. So instead of just doing zeros, let's add a number. And we're just going to make it a very low step. So we're just going to do the same thing, holding down. Let's do number 7. So I'm going to hold down on the 7th fret, and I'm going to go. So now it looks exactly the same, except instead of zeros, I've got 7s. Now let's change the number. We were going up to the next step. And let's go 7s, 2s, 4s, 0s. So again, we're just staying on one string. All our numbers are going to be on the 6th line. And we're going to play each one 3 times and then have a little break. 7, 2, 4, and 0. This is the 4-chord song bass line. You done me and you bet I felt it. I tried to break free, but you're so hot that I melted. I slipped right through the cracks, and I'm trying to get back. lots of songs you can play with this bass line. Now there are a few tunes we could just play on the 6th string, and that's a great way to really get comfortable with the numbers, the idea of the numbers changing. You know, famously everyone learns Smoke on the Water. So that's 0, 3, 5, 0, 3, 6, 5, 0, 3, 5, 3, 0. Or even Jaws, the Jaws theme, which is just going to be 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, and slowly speed up and get more and more scary, louder, and then maybe the shark swims further away and disappears. There are loads of songs we can play on 1 string. Probably a little bit more complicated, we could do Miserlou. Now let's add one more step, and again we're going with the smallest possible steps. So you can fast forward if it seems too easy, but if you get confused, you want to take really small steps, because if you jump a couple of steps, that's when it really gets confusing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this left hand away, so we're going to go back to just doing zeros, but we're going to change string. So we're going to be focusing on changing with the right hand. And we can do the same thing, we can play the same rhythm, 3 notes and then a little break. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the 5th string, on the A string, and it's going to look like this. 0, 0, 0. Then I'll go to the D string, back to the A string, and now to the E string. And there are a few songs you can play like this. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Or you can do a 12-bar blues, so we're just playing 1 bass note per bar. You could sing along with any of the blues songs out there. Hound Dog is a great example. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Well, they said you was high class, that was just a lie. Well, they said you was high class, that was just a lie. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Oh, I hear that train a-comin', it's rolling round the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps rolling on. I have to go up an octave. But that whistle keeps a-blowing on down to San Antoine. This one actually only has 11 bars, so it starts again. Well, if they freed me from this prison, if that railroad car was mine, I guess I'd move it on just a little down the line. Away from Folsom Prison is where I long to be. And I'll let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. Something like that. So there we changed the variable, we changed strings, but we only did zeros. Now the next step would be to change strings and to change numbers. And maybe what we could do is we could play a really simple scale on the low strings. We could go 0, 3, 0, 2, changing strings now, 0, 2. So if we move up, back down. that's a fun way to move across the strings, and we could learn some riffs which play across the strings. So now that we can change strings and we can change fret, we can learn all kinds of cool bass riffs. And the way that we used to do it back in the day, 90s style, is by playing Come As You Are, which is a great little bass riff. They do it with a slightly different tuning and a different key, so it's not going to sound exactly the same as the record, but it is going to be exactly the same melody, exactly the same bass line. So I'll take you through that really slowly. 0, 0, 1, 2. 0, 2, 0, 2, 2, 1, 0, 2. 0, 0, 2, 0, 1, 2. Mistake. You could also play the introduction to Redemption Song. Another great one is Pumped Up Kicks, the bass line of Pumped Up Kicks, which you would want to put a capo on if you wanted to play along. But for practicing, you don't really need a capo ever, and you don't really need to play in the right key unless you want to play with the actual recording. It doesn't make any difference. We're just doing these as exercises. So, Pumped Up Kicks. Another 3-string riff, which is really great for practicing, which I played a lot, which was cool to do back in the 90s, was this famous cover version. It's a 1995 cover version, very heavy cover version of an 80s pop song, which was released in 83. We won't tell you what it is. You can, if you guess, would like to hear from you in the comments. It's not in the exact right key. So if you want it in the key, you've got to put a capo on the 3rd fret. But you don't need a capo at all to play it. Any guesses? Those were the tunes that I kind of learned to play guitar, because I was having very formal classical guitar lessons, but on the side I was playing these, and actually playing these at the same time was a great technical supplement to what we were doing with the classical guitar, because that was all quite, there was a lot to think about, and I was reading notes and all these things. And so actually whatever you're doing, just playing a few of these riffs, simple as they are, is a great way to develop finger independence, which is at the root of all chord changes and everything you have to do in guitar. So highly, highly recommend. Great way to learn to read the tabs, and fun as well. If you want tabs, printed out tabs to any of the things we've gone through today, they'll all be on our Patreon page. That's www.patreon.com/altguitar. If you want to see more of our guitar videos, please consider subscribing to the channel. We do a whole range, a whole spectrum of everything guitar, and we're doing more all the time, and we'd love to have you join us. And if you're in West London or in Sussex, kind of the middle of Sussex, East Grinstead-ish, we would love to have you join one of our live classes. So we do live group classes up to about 10-15 people, and we just jam together. We work on technique. We go around checking everyone's technique, but really what we do is we get into a groove and we play together for an hour. And some people sing, and we play different parts. We take a piece apart and we learn it at all different levels, all different parts. So we'd love to have you. If you go to www.altguitarschool.com, then you can fill out a form, and we'll get in touch and we'll find the best group for you based on where you are geographically and also where you are in your guitar playing. So yeah, we'd love to meet you in person. And until then, we'll see you in the videos. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon.